Good morning, my brothers and sisters. It's Tone the Bone here on a Wednesday morning. Hope you're already having a fantastic day. Monster week of shows here on TKR and Tony Kurre Radio. Download the TKR app. I was talking to a next door neighbor of mine. I've lived next door to him for like 20 years. He's like, how's that streaming thing going? I'm like, do you even have the app, dude? He starts listening to it. He loves it. He's 61 years old. He starts listening to it yesterday. He loves it. Any age, it's great classic rock and roll, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we have 13 different shows we're doing. They run every single week. Mission Minded, 10 o'clock in the morning. Adapter Parish, great show about software adaptation in the business place. Adapter Parish, noon. Damon Johnson show from Brother Kane, Leonard Skinner, Alice Cooper, John Waite. He's a legend. He has a show every day at 3. When in Rome with Stuart Rome, the Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. That show goes on at 5. Need to Know with Kip Keefer. We had Kip on yesterday. Funny show. Guy just goes on for 30 minutes and talks about whatever the hell he wants. It's a really good show. And yes, he gets into some politics. It's great. Need to Know with Kip Keeper. He'll have a brand new show called Wanna Bet starting the week of the 22nd, 23rd. So not this week, but next week. Getting ready for college football season. If you're looking for some plays, his son works out in Las Vegas. He's out recording shows right now. So Wanna Bet's going to be starting here in a couple weeks. That show's every day at 6 o'clock. Dark Side of the Pooch every day at 7 o'clock. Austin Hanks Blues Almighty every day at 8. And of course, Livewire Wednesday. That's coming up later on tonight, 8 o'clock. Brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828. 205-682-2828. We'll get into it coming up. So check that out. Sam Rushing, good morning to you, my man. So Rachel Bilson, you know her? The actress, she was dating Bill Hader. He, of course, from Saturday Night Live fame, and also, of course, of the movie Trainwreck, which is a great movie with Amy Schumer. And she was on an episode of Broad Ideas, a podcast the other day, and she broke up with him, or they broke up together, and she was asked the question, what's the most disappointing or the thing she missed most about the relationship with Bill? And she said his big schwanz. God, I wish more ex-girlfriends were like that. Wouldn't it be great if every girlfriend you ever went out with said, there was a lot of things that didn't go right, but the one thing I miss the most is big wiener. It's funny because guys in our entire lives, we're super insecure. All of us are. The ones that are super secure are narcissistic and just plain assholes. But there's a little insecurity there. And guys always look for big things. We want the big house, we want the big wallet, and we want the big Anthony, right? And if those three things are good, which are very difficult, big three things to have all at one time, it's very difficult. We've been told ever since we were born, guys have been, that size does not matter. And it's just the biggest lie out there. It just is. Size does matter, but size matters at a particular point in your relationship. Obviously, if you're with a woman, you've been married with her for a long time, or you're in a relationship and you're a very loving man and you take care of her, size doesn't matter. Because she ain't going nowhere. She likes you. She's with you. So size doesn't matter at that point. But early in a relationship, size does matter. And I'll tell you why. I've got 3 or 4 friends, probably more than that were incredibly blessed down there. And I can tell you right now that size does matter. Because I see these guys, I look at these guys, they're not particularly super engaging. They don't have great personalities, but they get the women. Now, doesn't mean that they're finding their soulmates, doesn't mean they're finding lasting relationships, but in order to get the woman and get things going, size absolutely does matter. So for guys out there that sit there and say, well, she says size, it doesn't matter to you because you're already in a relationship. You're already Jason, Mark, Burnett, good morning. You're already in a relationship. If your wife, your girlfriend says size doesn't matter, that's a good thing. That means whatever you have is good enough. And so some women say, I don't like it because it hurts. Okay. It doesn't mean you won't give it a shot. You ever go to a restaurant and you can either get the petite sirloin or the large sirloin? Which one do you go for? You go the large, right? Because you may be able to take it. You may be able to eat the whole thing. I'm just saying. Oh, it's so painful. Okay, well, you're willing to give it a shot. You'd much rather do that than get like the 3-ounce steak and still be hungry, right? So size does matter. The good thing for us guys, though, is if you're already in a loving relationship with your wife or your girlfriend, and first of all, if she's saying size doesn't matter, you're in trouble. because she should never be saying the size doesn't matter, because then she's probably talking about you, and she's saying it really doesn't matter. If you're incredibly average, a woman will never say size doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But yeah, early in a relationship, size does matter. It really does. There's also a relationship guy. He's a dating expert. He has gotten this thing on TikTok. He's got like over 17 million views. And he's got the 10 out of 10 relationship guide. He's trying to help people. He said, I went out with all these different women. He's a good-looking guy. He had a near-death experience, and then he really wanted to hone in on his experiences as a dating man in his entire life to help men and women find the perfect 10 for 10 in their relationship. Some of the things that he controversially has stated, and I agree with all these. Guys should always set up the date, and they should always pay. Guys should never move into the woman's house. She can move in with him, or they can go get their own place together. Teresa Ponder Witt, good morning. They can go get their own place, that's fine, but guys should never move into the girl's place. Guys should always be older than women, because it usually takes guys an average of 10 years longer to mature. So men dating younger women, and you can go for Jerry Seinfeld, Alec Baldwin, we can go on and on and on. How many celebrity marriages work. And we were talking about the Pete Davis and Kim Kardashian thing on Fox 6 last week. It didn't work because it was the reverse. She was older than he was. She broke up with him because he's immature and he's 30 years old. Well, he's 30 years old. He's 30. Guys at 30 are like 12. We're still immature as hell. We don't get mature till we're in our 40s or 50s. Sorry, ladies, this is the way it is. That's why older men and younger women always work. And also, he said that couples absolutely have no excuse not to be intimate at least 3 times a week. Doesn't matter how long you've been dating, how long you've been married. He said if you can't find time to be intimate with your mate and want to be intimate with your date at least 3 times a week, then there's a problem. We'll talk about that on the Kurre and Claypo show. I'll have Dr. Josh in here. I know he's got some different views on this. He's a great psychologist, my best friend. We'll do our show about 8 o'clock in the morning right over here on Facebook. And we'll talk about all these things, and then we may get into it on Fox 6 tomorrow morning right around 9:35, so a lot will be fun. Happy birthday to Robert De Niro today. He turned 79. And Belinda Carlisle from the Go-Go's turned 64. It looks pretty good for 64, by the way. One thing that ain't 64 is Al Cooper at Coosa Valley Auto Sale. I went up there to Sylacauga. I drove about an hour to meet with him, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to find out what this guy's all about. He wanted to do some advertising on Tony Curry Radio. And listen, I'm in business. I got to put food on the table. I got to keep this thing running. But I do kind of pick and choose who I want to talk about on my radio station, because I want to stand behind every client I have. That's why I have the Jimmy Hill Mission on. That's why I have the Montgomery Food Bank on. That's why I have Adaptogen out of Atlanta on. That's why I love Blues Almighty. I love Damon Johnson. I love the Woodhouse Day Spa. I use all their services. John Gray, Driscoll Gray, great CPA. They're fantastic. Chris Doris, I've been with them since 1988. Chris Doris' State Farm Team, 985-7799. I use everybody. Mark Lindsay, good morning to you, brother. I use everybody that I talk about here on the radio station. So I have sold a lot of cars. I've done a lot of dealerships. I've done a lot of those noon to 3 remote Saturdays at huge dealerships with giant gorillas and the floppy guys. And I've done it all, man. I've given out pizzas, T-shirts. So I go up to Sylacauga. I go to Coosa Valley Auto Sale, and I pull into the lot, and it's kind of off the road. You can see it. It's got some balloons and stuff, so you know exactly what it is. They've got 25 to 30, 35 cars in the lot. Every vehicle they have, they call them Easter eggs, because Al gets there early in the morning, and he'll look, and he'll have 6 or 7 new cars in the lot every single morning. He'll probably have up to 50 different cars you can look at, and used cars are the way to go, because as soon as you buy a new car, it loses 20% of its value as soon as you take it off the lot. He's going to tell you what he paid for it. He's going to tell you what he expects you to pay for it, and he's going to tell you that if you have any issues with this car, bring it back, and we'll fix it for free. Will your dealership do that? Seriously. You buy a car, they stand behind every car they got, and you bring it back if you have any issues, and their labor is free. You pay for the parts, they'll take care of the labor. That's amazing. I mean, I don't know any car dealership that does that. The number is 256-267-0296, 256-267-0296, or go to CoosaValleyAutoSale.com, CoosaValleyAutoSale.com. Brent Bedsole, good morning to you, brother. Good to have you on board, CoosaValleyAutoSale.com. You're going to see probably a lot of red pictures of little red cars. It's not the actual car. It's because they either haven't gotten it up or it's already been sold. The average car stays in the lot 2 to 3 days and they're gone. I mean, they're moving and shaking, but you'll find something you'll love. Check out CoosaValleyAutoSale.com. All right, Dr. Josh Claypool and myself talking about relationship news again tomorrow morning. We love this. Size actually does matter. We'll talk about that. And download the TKR app and listen to all of our fantastic shows. We have a brand new show called LPOD coming up. We have Wanna Bet coming up. We have Wide Awake Wake about dead rockers who aren't dead yet. Paul McCartney will be our first guest. That show is going to be starting here in a couple weeks. Lots of exciting stuff happening on. So download the TKR app and go to Tony Kurre Radio Podcast and listen to all of our shows. We're up on any major indice wherever you get your podcast. For any of our music shows, you got to go to Spotify because that's the only platform that will play music during our talk on our podcast. So check out Spotify. Just search Tony Kurre Radio. I hope you have a fantastic day. A great Wednesday, great hump day, and it's all good from here on out. And I love you, and I appreciate your watch this morning. Mwah! And size does matter. You know, the bigger the nose, the longer the hose. Men with big hands and big feet wear big gloves.